They called themselves Only My Brothers OMB, a teenage street gang out of Wilmington, Delaware. What started as a group of friends and neighborhood kids quickly spiraled into a tightly wound criminal unit, one responsible for a surge in gun violence that left a community paralyzed with fear. The year was 2016, and Wilmington was in crisis. A city known for its small size and blue-collar grit had become one of the most dangerous places in America for teens. Bullets were flying, bodies were dropping, and the shooters weren't hardened adults, they were kids. OMB wasn't some massive drug-dealing cartel. These were teenagers, most between 15 and 19. But the violence, that was very real. By 2017, Delaware prosecutors had indicted over 20 young men, some barely old enough to drive, on charges ranging from attempted murder to conspiracy to participate in a criminal street gang. But to understand how it got this bad, you have to go back to a city split by turf, trauma, and revenge. In January 2015, 16-year-old Jordan Ellerby was shot and killed while standing on a porch in Wilmington's Hilltop neighborhood. That moment marked a turning point. It wasn't the first teen murder in the city, but it ignited a wave of retaliatory violence between rival crews, especially between two groups, OMB and STK, known on the streets as Shoot to Kill. These weren't organized in the traditional sense. No ranks, no colors, no cartels, just alliances built on block loyalty, blood ties, and social media. That's right, social media played a massive role. Instagram posts, Snapchat stories, Facebook live videos, teens using emojis and coded captions to throw shade, threaten rivals, and flex firearms. A single post could spark a shooting. A like on the wrong photo? Enough to get you followed, ambushed, or worse. By mid-2016, Wilmington had the highest rate of teen gun violence per capita in the United States. It got so bad that federal and state officials launched a coordinated effort to crack down on gangs operating in the city. That led to the birth of one of Delaware's most sweeping indictments ever handed down against a street gang, the OMB indictment. In February 2017, state prosecutors charged 23 individuals, most under the age of 21, with gang participation, illegal firearm possession, assault, and conspiracy. The charges stemmed from multiple incidents involving drive-by shootings, armed robberies, and retaliatory gunplay. One of the first names to come up was Jaleel Lewis. Just 16 at the time, Lewis was caught with a loaded semi-automatic handgun. He pled guilty to gang participation, illegal firearm possession, by a prohibited juvenile, and carrying a concealed weapon. He got 2 years in prison, followed by 6 months of work release or home confinement and probation. Then there was Shaka Dorsey, 18 years old, pled guilty to assault in the first degree, gun possession, and gang charges. 3 years behind bars plus probation. What made Dorsey's case even more troubling? At the time of his sentencing, he was still facing unrelated rape charges from the previous year. Another teen, Jovan Martin, also 18, pled guilty to gang participation and illegal firearm possession. 9 months in prison, probation, and it wasn't just prison time on the line. These convictions came with long-term consequences. Felony records, no jobs, no licenses, no second chances. For many of these teens, this was the beginning of a life under constant supervision. Parole meetings, curfews, and the ever-present threat of getting sent back inside. But OMB wasn't just 3 kids. Prosecutors eventually secured guilty pleas from 23 people. Names like Artie Pratt, Tahim Scott, and Rakim Handy all pled out. All got time, some more than others. They weren't kingpins. They weren't Pablo Escobar. They were neighborhood kids with guns, operating in a city that couldn't keep up. Wilmington police said at the time that this was just one group among many. At least 30 active crews were known to operate within the city, each with their own loyalties and rivalries. Some, like OMB, were accused of using social media to plan attacks and flaunt weapons. Even more disturbing, many of these teens had already been shot or had lost friends before they even turned 18. In some cases, the motive behind a shooting wasn't even money or drugs, it was clout, retaliation, ego, Someone gets shot, someone else posts about it, and the cycle starts again. OMB was largely based out of Wilmington's west side, the Hilltop and Hedgeville neighborhoods. Poorly resourced areas, high unemployment, and deep cycles of generational trauma. Young men growing up in environments where conflict resolution didn't mean walking away, it meant loading up. Delaware's Department of Justice leaned hard into gang statutes to bring OMB down. They used wiretaps, surveillance, social media monitoring, and confidential informants. The goal wasn't just to lock up a few teens, it was to send a message. That message was clear. Wilmington was done tolerating gang violence, no matter who was pulling the trigger or how young they were. But there's another layer to this. The state didn't just want prison time. They also offered reduced sentences in exchange for plea deals and cooperation. Some OMB members rolled. Some didn't. Some got probation. Others got years. By July 2017, the final guilty plea had been entered. The case was officially closed. The public saw it as a win, a rare moment where the system worked, where violent teens were held accountable. But here's the thing. Locking up 23 teenagers doesn't erase what created OMB in the first place. It doesn't rebuild the neighborhoods they came from. It doesn't bring back Jordan Ellerby. And it doesn't stop the next crew from forming. In the years since the indictment, Wilmington has continued to wrestle with youth violence. There are fewer headlines about OMB, but the underlying issues, poverty, fractured families, failing schools, and easy access to guns, still linger. OMB was never just a gang. It was a symptom, a reaction to a system that failed these kids long before they ever picked up a gun. They wanted loyalty, respect, protection, in a world that offered them none. Only my brothers. That name meant everything to them. And in the end, it's what took them down. You've been listening to Crime Fiend Stories. Subscribe for more true crime breakdowns that tell the full story. No hype, no sugarcoating. Just facts.